Okay. Evidently, I have called the meeting to order at 7:10. And please accept my apologies for being late. Now, according to the agenda, which I need to find again. One moment, please. Who just entered? Our first order of business for this evening is this is so incredibly difficult. I've called the meeting to order and done a roll call. Unfinished business. Evidently, there was some, and this is for you, Town Clerk, there was some confusion about the minutes. And is it possible to take the minutes from the previous meeting up under unfinished business? Or not?
You can, absolutely.
Okay. So,
I thought I had, but excuse me, Madam Chairman, I thought I had sent those minutes out on your approval. I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I was waiting for your approval on what I sent to you.
oh, that's okay.
But I did send, they are, everybody should have them.
I, as a backup, when Representative Thomas notified me that he had not seen the minutes, I just sent another copy to everybody. So I think, does everyone have a copy?
No, but that's all right.
I have them.
I sent you a copy.
Okay.
Okay, so you should have it. All right. Are there any questions about the minutes?
I have one question, Jackie.
Okay.
Shouldn't it be on here, approval of minutes from the previous meeting?
Oh, you mean on
No,
the
actually, I'm
agenda?
sorry, you don't approve your minutes. Those are approved by the body.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm just asking if there's anything that anyone would like to add, because these are draft minutes until they're approved by the body. So does anyone have anything that they would like to add?
I do, yes.
Okay,
I would like to just have some mention there that I did notify the chair and the clerk that I was not going to be able to make it for that meeting.
sure, we can add that in. Representative.
Thank you.
Okay. I will, Betsy, what I will do is I will add that and then send them to you again. Does that work?
Perfect.
Chair Massett, I have my hand up.
Okay, I can't see who's who here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just didn't want to interrupt. Can you just note that I was there as an ex officio member, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Representative Thomas, I will make that correction and send it on to the clerk. So it will be included in the draft minutes that go before the entire RTM.
Very well, thank you.
Okay, and Moderator Rusk, I will make make note of the fact that you were there as an ex officio member.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You are welcome. Okay, so I'm working from two devices. under new business. It's probably just a continuation of our discussion of our rules and procedures. And I think tonight will probably be a discussion on Representative Thomas's suggestion for rules. Would you like to commence or start?
One more thing. Actually, I just noticed I had a note here about the minutes. I noticed on the YouTube recording that the label on the YouTube video was actually for 12/16/2020 as opposed to 2021. So that can make it hard for some people to search and find it.
Righty,
Really about that.
Representative, not Representative, Town Clerk McCousher, do you
Yes.
know, should I call Lisa?
No, that would be GMTV. I will notify Sean Greeley that there's a problem with the typing on that. It's just a matter of them typing in the right date.
Okay,
Yeah, the slide is fine on the video. It's just the YouTube title underneath it is off. So you get the hard
okay,
part right.
and it will
That's
be
pretty
noted.
important.
Yeah, it is, so that people,
So
it will be corrected.
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, would you like to go?
Sure, yeah, I
on
mean,
with-
I'll jump in, I
okay.
guess. Since I wasn't here at the last meeting, I did review the recording and I just kind of ran down a bullet point list of, things I just wanted to comment on real quick as far as, looking at the minutes and what people decided on and voted on. I'm pretty much good with everything. I was glad to see that we did not institute any sort of time restriction. I'm a big favor of open dialogue and open discourse. I wouldn't mind. I know that there was some discussion about putting in some clarity about 10 minutes per turn or anything like that, but I think it's fine the way it is. I do agree with the idea of adding a preamble, saying that everything, but then again, I think that also is covered somewhere else, but it might be better to move it up to the top as someone else suggested, so that it kind of covers everything in a blanket. And I also like the idea of changing the order of agenda items so that the more time consuming stuff that maybe is not so critical for discussion is towards the end of the meeting. And I agree with, yeah, all right, so that's the same thing. And I do like the idea of having a resolution review as a regular part of the agenda.
Okay.
And I'm not necessarily comfortable with the idea of removing the superintendent's and the economic development reports from the monthly, since it would kind of stretch it to 2 months before we hear from anybody. I would definitely like to see it, have the option there for them to appear if there's any pressing item. But I know it's all been voted on already, but I just wanted to kind of get my comments.
Actually, it hasn't been yet. I think that, two things. Would you mind emailing me your bullet list so I
Sure.
can make sure that I get it correctly
Sure.
in these minutes? And if I'm not mistaken, the discussion about the superintendent and economic development,
Mhm.
having them on the same night tended to make for a super, super long meeting. That is why that suggestion was made. So, but, okay.
Yeah, I understand the concern. I just, I guess I just disagree with the,
Yeah, and that's fine.
you know,
We don't,
is what it is. We'll take a vote and we'll move on.
I think if I'm not, again, if I'm not mistaken, we had sort of come to an agreement that if there was something that the superintendent had that she needed to present to the body face to face, that she was welcome to come to a meeting. And it was the same with the economic development folks,
Right, so it'd be
I
like
think. Correct me if I'm
invite.
wrong.
Okay, right.
Okay, but just email me your bullet points so I can get them into the
Sure.
minutes correctly.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
All
so
right.
now I guess we are gonna move on to your proposals.
Yes.
Pardon me, Madam Chair. I
Yes,
just want to remind committee members, I know that people have been here for a long time, understand that this committee is only a recommendation and no decisions can be made without approval of the full body.
right. And the minutes, the excuse me, the full body actually votes on the minutes. So,
On just,
not
the
on the
minutes,
minutes, on
the rules. Yes,
on the
yes.
rule. That's what I meant to say. Okay,
You make the wisest suggestions and they throw it out. That's what happens.
right. Okay,
Understood. Yep. And that's what I meant by, like, we'll vote amongst ourselves and the recommendation will go forward and we'll move on
right.
next phase. Yeah. All right. So in regards to the proposed rule changes that I had sent out, I know there's so 3.8. So the way I constructed the document was I was just theorizing, just kind of trying to splice in. I attached the numbers where I thought they might fit, or using the actual number item that would be changed by what I had in mind. Now, so 3.8 is a rule that does not exist at the current time,
Okay,
having to do with moderator's term of office and an ability to remove the moderator if 2/3 of the RTM members felt that was a thing that needed to be done. And that to be perfectly clear, like, I mean, that came out of my research through the town charter and through the town council rules and also the previous RTM rules, and just kind of comparing and contrasting, looking at Robert's rules as well. And most bodies of organized societies of whatever kind, there's some sort of check and balance between the body and the chair of that body. So, I just hadn't noticed this discrepancy before. So that's where it came from. And, to be perfectly frank, there were some comments made regarding my possible motive. And I do take exception to those comments. I would remind all the members present of Rule 8.5.2 in the RTM rules that we're currently operating under, that members shall avoid personal affronts and or accusations of improper motives. So I would caution everyone to be careful with that. It's dangerous to assign intent. I mean, this is just basically a clerical thing. I noticed, so there's no ulterior motive.
Okay. Other members of the committee have anything to say concerning this rule? No?
This is Representative Scott. I don't have the document in front of me.
Okay.
But my understanding, this is a removal process, which is unprecedented in our town charter.
Right.
Can you, Representative Thomas, identify other similar governments where there's an RTM and a moderator, where there is a removal process, and has it been used? Are there pitfalls, things like that?
No. Long and short of it, no. I'm not looking at other RTMs in other towns. I was just looking at our town charter and town council, how they operate with them. I noticed something in the town charter about the mayor and there's a certain threshold. And then also looking at Robert's rules, which we all often default to, there's also like a removal process for any chair of any body. So it's just, in the spirit of checks and balances, if it's not a thing people want to push forward, that's fine. I just wanted to have it up there for discussion.
So as a follow-up question, what does Robert's rules say with respect to, if there was a need to remove our moderator, what is the Robert's rules procedure?
Well, there's a couple different options depending on the circumstances, but often they refer to some sort of like more formal like trial type situation that would be a lot of back and forth. So that's why I kind of cross-referenced with the charter and took a look there to see about what the council would do if they had a situation. And in the council, they basically just did 6 out of 8, which is a 3/4 percentage of the body. And so with that, I just kind of figured, well, 2/3 seemed to be a number that was often used in the RTM historically to create like an override situation of other sorts, or to bypass the rules and all that kind of thing. So I just figured, 2/3 might be a good starting place to open the discussion if we're going to look at. I mean, are we talking about principle? Or are we talking about threshold? Depends on how you want to look at it.
If I
could
may
follow up, Jackie, that last week when we were talking about other aspects of our rules, we did go back and forth quite a bit about the fact that certain things are dictated to us based in Robert's rules. And I think that's how we got into the discussion that the preamble to our rules should be a comment about the fact that we are using the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Orders as the overall governing document. And Jack, you may have the removal process in your hands, so that maybe answers the next part of my question.
go ahead, John.
But what can someone specify what the removal process is as
Okay.
Robert's Rules dictates?
If I may, according to Robert's rules, quote, "It depends if the bylaws just state a fixed term of the officer, such as 2 years, or if they say the officer serves for a specific time and until the officer's successor is elected, or words to that effect, then the group must use formal disciplinary proceedings, which involve the appointment of an investigating committee, referral of charges by such a committee, and the conduct of a formal trial. The procedure is complex and should be undertaken only after a careful review of Chapter 20 of Robert's Rules of Order. On the other hand, if the bylaws state a term for the office, but add or until the officer's successor is elected, or contain wording other than explicitly indicating that the officer may be removed before the term expires, then the election can be rescinded. I guess we are kind of. See Chapter 7. And a successor then elected for the remainder of the term. Of course, if the bylaws themselves establish a procedure for removal from office, then that procedure must be followed. Robert's Rules of Order, 10th edition. So that.
Madam Chair, if I could just comment on what
go right ahead.
There's no process at all in the Connecticut General Assembly for removal of the governor. Although a few of us, when I was up there, would love to have gotten rid of him. The process for removing someone who's elected to a position like mayor or moderator, in my opinion, should be complicated.
Yes.
And otherwise, I think what can happen is you get factions, and you get the controlling party gets fractured. They get just enough votes to throw somebody out. Then they get fractured again. They get just enough votes to throw somebody out again. And that doesn't sound complicated enough to me. And I think that if there's a reason to remove the moderator, it better be a really hard process and with a lot of proof to make that happen, other than just a simple percentage vote. That's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. But I think that whatever removal process we have, it needs to be quite onerous.
Does anyone else?
Yeah,
have
I'd
anything
like to say something, Jackie.
Okay.
Harry.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't think we need this in Groton. I mean, these kind of things come up, or this is the kind of thing that might come up if we've had a problem in Groton. I mean, the thing is, moderators a 2-year term, and I just don't think there's any need for it. And I think as John brings up, I bring up at the same time, John, I mean, people could pick or choose a night when we have a quorum of certain people there, and 2/3 of them being on a certain side. And I think if we don't know all those ramifications, I just don't think there's any need for it. I really don't. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Harry. Anyone else? Leanne?
Well, I think it's stepping into an area that we don't need to go into. As Harry said, we're not in that kind of situation. Most of our moderators are very dedicated to doing a good job. They're not trying to create any kind of a problem, just give direction to the group as needed. So I just don't think we need to even go there. I think that would just create some discontent that we don't need.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. And I guess I can weigh in. I fully agree. It's not something that we needed. And I think it would probably throw the whole body into chaos. So I agree with everyone. So now the question is,
Madam Chair, if I could
sure.
respond.
Sure.
Couple of questions. Well, one, I understand everyone's concern, and I do appreciate Representative Scott's assessment of the situation. And I do think things should be somewhat onerous. And I think a 2/3 vote, I don't know, maybe up to 3/4, who knows? Are we talking principle? Or are we talking threshold? Now, like I said, I wrote this based on what I saw in the town charter in regards to the town council. And so I figured, well, these are two governing bodies, and somehow someone in the past, or some group of people, I mean, that provision got into the town charter. That's not in town council rules. That's from the town charter. So, how did that get there? Obviously somebody saw a need for it at some point, or some significant group of people saw a need for it. So, again, I just think it's due diligence, checks and balances. Obviously it's not a thing that's favored in this group. So, I don't want to belabor the point, but I do want to make my point, which I think it is just a matter of good governance and due diligence and providing proper checks and balances. And, looking at what is in the charter, there is precedent for it in the town of Groton in a parallel governing body. So, they went with a 3/4 ratio, so they felt like that was until the time. They bypassed Robert's rules in order to create that provision. So, again, just working off precedent that's in the town. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Per the town charter, section 4.3, a moderator shall be elected for a 2-year term.
Yes.
So it is in the town charter, and nothing in our rules can supersede the charter.
Right. And I had written that down. Yes, it is 4.3. I'm just trying to get this down for 2 years and nothing.
I might jump in and just to clarify some information that may not be readily available, but the current town charter has a lot of sections that are from the original town charter from 1957, including the mayorship and the removal of the mayor and the RTM moderator. So that's not something new that was put in. It's been in there for a long time. And really, the RTM and the council are not mirror legislative bodies. The RTM was supposed to act as a check of what the council does, and always on expenditures over budgeted items that are $10,000 or more. But over the years, I think at the last charter change, something was taken out of the charter as far as the power of the RTM. That has to be readdressed at the next charter revision.
So
There
long
is
story
one.
short, we may be looking, this may more be an item that is reserved for a charter revision commission.
Yep.
I
Among other items that may be up for a charter revision commission.
I think maybe it would be, and then it would be spelled out once and for all, or it would be in the charter, and it wouldn't be such a gray area. But
Harry has his hand up.
oh, I see. I can't see who has their hand up. All right, Harry.
You know,
Harry.
I'm sorry, I left my hand up from the last time I spoke.
Oh,
I
I'm
haven't taken it
sorry.
down.
See, I
I'm
can't
sorry.
see. Oh, all right. So you don't, okay. So you don't have anything more to add. I, as a member of the RTM, and I'm very, very concerned. And I agree with Representative Scott that it's a process that could be used just by factions. And the RTM has a specific role to play. And I think a rule like this would throw the body in chaos. And there's no, from what I can read, and maybe Representative Thomas can correct me, but from what I've read of his proposed rule is that the moderator could be gotten rid of for something as silly as wearing Argyle socks. It's not like the moderator should be removed because of misappropriation of funds or is a convicted felon, whatever. There's nothing in there. And that, I think if you're gonna, not you, if we are going to discuss something like this, that there have to be clear parameters around which this rule would come into play. And that's just my 2 cents. Anyone else?
Madam Chair, if I might.
Yes.
Yeah, so I agree with you on that. I agree that, you know, this is a heavy bit of a tool. Now, again, like the language that I used was lifted directly from the charter in regards to how the mayor relates to the council. And no, I wasn't trying to say that they're mirror bodies. They're more just parallel in the sense that they're both organized societies as defined by Robert's rules. And they have an organization and a chair, and they operate and they deliberate and we discuss and decide things. So, it's just, again, checks and balances. So, you know, I can agree with the criticisms and the concerns, because no, it should not be a frivolous thing. Not at all. I agree with that. It should be onerous. It should be serious. It should be a thing that carries weight. It should not be able to be used for factionalism. But I also would submit as evidence that, a tool like this would not necessarily be used as factionalism, in the sense, I mean, it's been on the books with the town charter in regards to the mayor, as the clerk referred to, for since 1957. And how many times has a mayor been removed? So it's there.
Never.
Say again?
No, never.
Never. Okay,
Never.
so there we go. So it's there as a fail safe, and that's all. It was just due diligence. I just saw something that was missing.
But you do have to understand that this is a charter thing, and also the mayor can hurt the town. If you have a bad mayor, let's just say you have a bad mayor, the bad mayor could hurt the town financially and physically, in all sorts of different ways. The RTM moderator cannot do that. There isn't an avenue for it. So I think you do understand the brevity of this.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think
Skip it right off and leave it for a charter revision.
I mean, degrees of damage are debatable. I mean, I agree this may be more of a charter revision conversation. Agreed. So we've had the conversation. It's on the record now, so we can probably safely move on from it shortly. I just want to make sure that that it is noted that this does not exist in this town. It exists for the council, but not for the RTM. And the whole elected versus appointed thing. It's I mean, the mayor is elected much in the same fashion as the RTM elects its moderator. It's the majority of the body present, or the body. I mean, again, we could also deliberate the rules. I mean, present in voting, maybe that is not good language to have in there, because you're right. It could be a strategic quorum, and then it's only 2/3 of that quorum moves a moderator out, and it could lead to chaos. Yeah, if allowed in that parameter. So, I mean, if we're talking principle is one thing, if we're talking threshold and process, that's another. So, I want to have the principle out there on the record, discussed and deliberated. And, if it makes more sense for a charter revision commission, then I will look forward to submitting my ideas
Okay.
to them whenever.
All right, so, I'm sorry, Representative Thomas. Because I definitely want to get this correct for the minutes. So, what is your principle that that the RTM should have a rule for removal of the moderator because the council does? Is that your
Well, I mean,
your
that's a
principle?
little bit trite, but yes. I mean, that's
okay.
a bit simplified, yes. But yeah, essentially, I think it's good practice. It's due diligence. It's in the spirit of checks and balances. That's what founded our government. The idea of the triangulation. The three arms co-equal and counterbalancing. So in the sense that you have the moderator that has a lot of influence over how the RTM operates. It'd be good to have a counterbalance to that, where if somehow, decisions are not being made in good faith, or the body feels uncomfortable with what's happening, the body has some mechanism to hold a moderator accountable.
May I say something, Jackie?
Yes, you may.
That's almost like a deliberation on whether you like the moderator's personality or not. If you're ever thinking about removing somebody, it's got to be something very serious. And most times the moderator is only running the meeting. They have to step aside if they want to speak and share a feeling about something. But a moderator is not in a position to damage And I think we're getting into an area, as I said before, that we don't even need to be going into. The moderator is not in a position, and I'm sure somebody would call them out if they were up there trying to persuade people of their own feelings. So, or call on people that shouldn't be called on, or out of turn, or things like that. It's not going to happen. It's not the practice that there's been, and I doubt very much it would be in the future. And I think that we're better just to end this discussion. You certainly will, the minutes will go to the RTM, the full group. And if anybody feels differently, they can express it at that time. But if we had a series of events that have happened over the past years, you might say it's time for something like this, but we have not. And we do have Robert's rules that we could go by. And I think because that process is lengthy and very attentive to everything, I think we could just go by that if it's ever necessary. But I think if we belabor this and go forward, we're stirring a pot that we don't need to stir. We've got enough things that are important that we'll be talking about this year, and I think we're better to start off on a better foot. Just my thoughts.
Representative Thomas, I just want to make sure that I captured what your intent is. And in principle, you feel that the RTM should have the same power of removal of the moderator equal to the power of the council's ability to remove the mayor. Is that correct?
Yeah,
One of
with
information.
with
Yes.
in regards
Can I
to
ask a clarifying question, Madam Chair? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes, you
but
may.
I think this is
Nope,
an important
go right ahead.
clarification. Representative Thomas has got a number of suggestions that he's identified for the charter. And in the previous meeting, we had been doing basically a consensus of the group as to whether or not an item should move forward. I'm just wondering if we should be a little more formal in the process on this, where maybe a motion is made to identify that section he was talking about, seconded. We've had our discussion and then have a formal vote on each item, so that we've got a reference point. I mean,
Okay.
when you go back to when you do your presentation to the full body in the coming weeks.
All right. So, would you like to? Yeah, that's a good idea, Representative Scott. Would you like to make the motion?
I think that the motion really should be coming from Representative Thomas, since that's his
Okay.
item. And then
All
I'll be
right.
more than happy to second it, so it just goes on the floor for the formal vote.
Okay, Representative Thomas, would you like to make a motion?
I'm clear on the context in which I'm doing this. I'm moving my proposed rule change.
Correct. My suggestion is you had a number of rule changes, so I'd say we go line by line through your suggestions as a form. Like first motion is that section,
Right.
is it 3.8 you were creating?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay doing that. I would want to have a discussion for each one, because I think each one has a little bit of a different context.
And
Okay.
that's fine.
Yeah.
What I recommend going forward is that you say, okay, make a motion that we change chapter 49. This is what it says. I'll second it. We have the discussion and the vote.
Okay, so Representative Thomas, you would move proposed addition of a rule 8.3?
3.8, yeah. All right, so I move that we add rule 3.8 The moderator's term of office shall be identical to that of the RTM, which chooses the moderator, except that by a vote of at least 2/3 of the RTM members present and voting, the moderator may be removed and another member chosen to assume the duties and responsibilities of moderator.
Okay, all right, that is, and
So I
that's
will
fine.
second that.
Okay, and you seconded. Would the body mind if I asked, because it's a lot and I want to get it absolutely correct. If I asked Representative Thomas to, as we go through these, his motions, if he could forward those to me so that I can get them into the minutes correctly.
You should already have them, Jackie, from his previous email.
I did send the documents out 2 weeks ago. with
Yes,
the,
all right, so that's what you want. Okay,
Yeah, I haven't
all right,
changed
nope, I
anything.
have those. Okay,
Yeah,
All
you
right,
just copy
okay.
and paste those. That'd be good.
all right, so, is there any other discussion?
Just one other point. And I thank Representative Aubrey for her comments and concerns. And honestly, in referring to points in time where people were upset with what the moderator was doing. Recent examples, just this past term, Moderator Eben did start the Civilian Oversight Research Committee, and a number of people took issue with that. So,
I'm sorry, what was that? I'm sorry.
just this past term, in the 32nd RTM, Moderator Evan took it upon herself, and in response to some inquiries from the body, among which I was one, to start the Civilian Oversight Research Committee. And a number of RTM members and other people in the community did take issue with that. And there was some concern that there was overstepping, overreaching. And so, if you look at this rule change and actually like all the other ones, a good number of the other ones that I made, I think anyone that was critical of how Moderator Eben did that might actually be in favor of these rule changes because they would provide a check, a possibility of having a discussion of like not appreciating like the direction a moderator is going. So, I'm a little, again, like that's, I'm trying like for clarity and consistency. And I did hear those criticisms. And as chair of that committee, I recognized those criticisms. And, I did not agree with them. I thought we were well within our purview to do that report. But I also think that there was this cloud around the whole situation due to the people who did have issue. And had there been a process where it could have been aired out and discussed, we probably could have cleared the air and moved on in a much more distinct fashion. As opposed now, there's still a lot of lingering feelings. So, there's an example of a time where some people had issue with the moderator and maybe would have liked a tool to express their displeasure.
I'm not gonna,
Madam Chair, let me help
Madam
you
Chair?
out here. Again,
yes.
you
Go
know,
ahead, Betsy.
this is a redundant discussion. Your rule 6.3, the moderator may create special committees. There was no impropriety, and anybody who has sour grapes over what was done, that's their problem. And you certainly don't want to give them an avenue to remove the moderator over something like this. That's just, you can't put it into your rules. So please move on to your next discussion.
Okay. All right,
We have to
so,
have the vote.
yes, it was moved by Representative Thomas, seconded by Representative Scott. And the motion will read what Representative Thomas presented, if that's all right.
Fine with me.
I will just incorporate that as the motion. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So all those in favor, say aye. Oh, and you know what? I'm gonna do a roll call vote, if you don't mind.
Smart.
Okay, so, Representative, Aubrey,
No,
Representative Scott,
No.
Representative Thomas. Ann,
Yes.
okay. Representative Watson,
No,
whoopsie. Okay, and Chairperson Massett, no. So 1, 2, 3, 4 no's and 1 yes. The proposal or the motion fails.
Yeah.
Okay,
Conrad.
all right. So now your second rule or suggestion.
Yep. I move that we add rule 6.2.8. If a floor leader determines the moderator's initial or replacement selections for that party's membership on any given committee to be disagreeable with the party caucus, the floor leader can override the moderator's decision with a 2/3 vote of that floor leader's party caucus. This caucus vote shall be conducted on the floor of the RTM meeting and recorded by the clerk of the RTM.
Okay. Any discussion?
I'll second that to start the discussion.
Okay.
And then I'll ask the question. Give me an example of what you're trying to achieve here.
Trying to get people up at committees.
Again, hypothetical. If a moderator should appoint some people to a committee that, say, the majority of the party's caucus don't feel is the best fit for that committee, then the floor leader could organize a caucus vote to override the moderator's decision for that committee seat.
So we have 10 Republicans on the RT, or 11 Republicans on the RTM, I believe, at the moment. So if we don't like the fact that, like, say I get appointed to finance and well, it's a bad example because I'm the floor leader, but maybe it's a great example. I'm the floor leader, but I get appointed to finance. The rest of my committee doesn't like it, but I'm the floor leader, so I refuse to acknowledge their displeasure, and I never bring it up.
Well, that's
You're not gonna remain floor leader for long.
hypothetical.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, no, I see what you're saying.
Well, I think a floor leader at that point would have to if they're in that's a conflict of interest there. So, I mean, yeah, that would be a little bit of a very odd situation. But
I mean, not for nothing though. Ian, we're both floor leaders. I haven't received a phone call from the moderator yet. I'm sure you haven't either. But historically, I believe both floor leaders have been involved in helping the moderator decide who goes where.
Yeah, but she's been on vacation, so give her a break.
It's for the holidays. I'm not expecting anything at this point. But that's, I think,
that has been the tradition.
right.
Where the floor leaders.
Like, a lot rests on tradition in this body. So, I mean, you have to forgive me. I mean, some of this, I was doing a unit on the Constitution recently. So, like, I was steeped in checks and balances. So looking at all these documents, I was looking for checks and balances. So that's all it is.
Right.
Just like, here's the thing, and what could counterbalance that?
Can I just jump in here, Harry? And Harry, I think you might be able to back me up.
I'll try.
this.
I don't know.
One year, you and I were both on town council. And there was a counselor who had been appointed to the Economic Development Committee of the council. Mick O'Byrne was mayor. And this particular counselor just really didn't care at all about economic development in the town. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
And
so
Nick-
the whole issue there, Jackie, was whether the mayor could change committee appointments. That was
Yes,
the issue
yes,
then.
that was, yes,
When Mick
why.
O'Byrne-
It's
And,
what-
and
yeah,
Mick O'Byrne, the mayor used to appoint people to 8 different committees and have two committees of 4, group 1 and group 2, where
right,
the chair of that committee would take referrals and discuss them. And I remember somebody being really upset because Mick decided to change after the term had started, after for quite a while, decided to change the committee chairs. And I think it might have been because of what he wanted to do rather than somebody saying, I
okay,
don't want
all
to be
right,
on that
thank you for,
committee
yeah,
anymore.
okay,
It was quite adversarial, and we
Yes,
ended up
it
getting a
was.
town attorney's opinion on
Yes.
that.
yes,
Which you had the right to do that if you wanted to do that.
Yes.
But it had never been done
Okay.
before, but he didn't do it out of somebody asking to be changed committees. He did it out of who he wanted to put on a certain committee.
yes, okay,
That's what it was. And I love
All
Mick.
right.
You know, I'm not trying to say anything negative about
no,
somebody.
no, no, no,
um,
no, no,
Sir,
I
but
just
that's what it was
remember,
about.
I just remember there was a big brouhaha about switching committees in there.
And that had
somewhere.
never been done in the past.
Right, okay, all right, okay. So,
Let me just say, can I just say one more thing while I'm blabbing?
yeah, go right ahead.
I have confidence in the system. This is my first time being appointed as a new RTM member to a committee. And I got something from our town clerk saying, what are your preferences? And I don't even remember what my preferences are now, except that I didn't put anything I didn't want to be on
Right,
that list of 3. I have all the confidence in the world that what has worked for quite, I think if somebody wanted to change committees sometime during a term, I think people are reasonable and it would end up being talked about. But I have confidence in the system, and I probably won't get on what I really want to get on, but I'll probably get on something that is close to what I want to be on, and
okay,
I'm okay with that.
all right, okay.
Madam Chair, that's actually
Yes,
a
John.
good question for the town clerk.
Okay,
What has been the process in the past if someone wanted to change committees, or maybe that's never come up, but if it's come up, what has been the process for that?
It has come up, you know, I mean, somebody might think that they want to be on finance and they decide, oh my gosh, they meet too often. I don't want to be on it. And so they asked to be put onto the rules committee, you know, and it does, and people resign. It happens. So it's all done in a manner that's civilized. There's no pushy, shovey, you know, I despise this. It's just never happened. You don't like your committee, or, you know, and the floor leaders will be discussing, you know, you haven't given it an opportunity yet. But the floor leaders should have a say, not so much a say, but an opinion, because presumably they know their committee, their caucuses. And so that's what's the benefit of a floor leader talking to a moderator, because they know their caucus members. So, but, you know, certainly if somebody hates their committee, they can ask the moderator for a change, and it usually can happen. You know, somebody will switch places, because you got to worry about party affiliation and how many from one
right,
district and all
minority,
that.
yeah,
Yep. So it's not easy, but it certainly isn't worth, again, you know, putting somebody on the floor. I mean, how embarrassing is that? You do things in a civilized manner, and it gets done better. I think.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything to say? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I would,
All right.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I would just like to say that I am in full agreement with Harry.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, okay. So, are we ready to vote? Again, I'm gonna do a roll call vote. Please, it makes it easier for me. Hold on. And, okay, Aubrey.
No,
Okay. Scott,
No,
Thomas,
Yes.
okay, Watson,
No,
okay, and Massett, no. Okay. That motion fails 4-2, yeah,
4-1.
yeah. Okay, and what was, I don't have it in front of me. Did you have another suggested rule change, Representative Thomas? Hello,
Yes, sorry.
okay,
Yes, I did. Rule 6.3.1, special committees, duplication of standing committee functions. Now this one would be an alteration, not an addition. Well, it's a bit of an alteration in one section, then an addition in another.
okay,
So for 6.3.1, the opening section of it says special committees appointed. All right, so I move that we alter it to read as such. 6.3.1, special committees, duplication of standing committees functions. Special committees appointed by the moderator under Rule 6.3 shall in general not overlap or duplicate standing committees. The Rules and Procedures Committee shall review each special committee upon its formation to determine when such duplication or overlap occurs and shall so notify the moderator. So that section, if you look at the text in the document I sent,
Let me second it so we can discuss it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
okay, all right, yep, we're all set.
All
Jen.
right. So the green ink is altered text and the red ink is added text. So the
Okay,
green ink represents I'd kind of change the sentences around a little bit to kind of read in a more sequential fashion. And then I added a phrase, review each special committee upon its formation. So basically it says the same thing. It just kind of, in my mind, the language change clarifies that it needs to happen pretty much at the moment of. So again, there's not a lot of lingering concerns.
okay, so I guess my question would be that almost immediately upon formation of the committees, with the agreement of both, of all three, the moderator and both floor leaders, immediately the Rules and Procedures Committee would meet to go over those choices and not necessarily choices, but go over the responsibilities of each committee and make sure that the Finance Committee isn't stepping on the toes of the Education Committee. Is
Right.
that?
I mean, yeah, essentially, yes. And I can give you a recent example is exactly what I referred to before. The Civilian Oversight Research Committee was formed by the moderator. And then, we had a couple meetings, and then some reservations were brought up. And the Rules and Procedures chair determined that we were not in conflict with the rules. But that was, a month or two after the fact. So again, like, looking for clarity and consistency, I think this rule change was on my mind for a while after that, as an after effect of that whole experience of saying, like, well, it would have been better to have that conversation before we got started, to make sure that we were in the clear, so that our work was not going to be delegitimized as it was happening, or attempted to be delegitimized as it was happening.
Okay.
And the
All right.
Rules and Procedures Committee did rule in our favor to exist, and said there was, it was a specified reason for us to exist, so that, but again, that's aside. Yeah, so basically what happened in the moment of, like, so if the moderator decides to form this committee that has overlap with, say, the Public Safety Committee or something like that, the Public Safety Committee chair could raise a concern and have a meeting with the moderator and the Rules and Procedures Committee, and discuss the parameters of the committees to make sure that
Okay.
the overlap is justified.
Okay, I get it. I guess my question would be that for the most part, I think the example that you gave, that was highly unusual. And I think the thought about the oversight committee and what they might have been charged with was different from what the public safety committee does, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense now, but like, I'm just saying, this happened, there was some controversy. So, I think part of our responsibility as a Rules and Procedures Committee is to look critically at like how we operate, and to identify any discrepancies. And if there was a gap that allowed for this controversy to go on, then maybe we should look at a way we could rephrase the rules, or adjust them in some fashion, so that any sort of situation that may occur in the future, that we can't foresee what special committee may be asked for at the time, that may have some overlap with the standing committee. We don't know that, but it would be better, I think, to have, I mean, if you look at this language compared to the old language, it just kind of tightens it up a little bit, to make sure that the review happens, when the committee is formed, before the committee actually starts doing work.
Okay, all right, I guess.
I mean, the civilian oversight, that committee's over. Like, we were.
The civilian oversight committee in actuality was an ad hoc committee. So you're talking about ad hoc committees as opposed to standing committees. An ad hoc committee is a committee that's added for a specific purpose. Short term, it's understood that it's short term. Okay.
So point of clarification for me,
Okay.
Madam Chair. So this proposed rule change, the way I'm interpreting it is, if someone from the floor wants to create the XYZ committee and states its purpose, before that committee starts to do a lick of business, somebody rules on the committee's validity, versus now the XYZ committee can actually start doing work before the validity of the committee is asserted. Am I correct in what I'm hearing here?
I think
That's a good interpretation of what my intent was with this. Yeah.
I think you mean moderator appointed committees, not somebody from the floor wants to put a committee together. These are moderator appointed committees, special committees. But be careful, because read the current one and understand that this is talking about a special committee that actually does have a duplication. If it does have a duplication or an overlaps a standing committee, then the chairman of that standing committee will be an appointed member of this new special committee. I think you're interpreting it wrong. I'm sorry. So please read that carefully out loud, someone, please.
Okay, I don't have it right in front of me.
Madam Clerk, do you have the 30-second rules in front of you?
I do, but you want me to read it?
The original
Okay.
6.3.1?
All right, can you listen?
Mm-hmm.
Special committees appointed by the moderator under Rule 6.3 shall in general not overlap or duplicate standing committees. If it is necessary to constitute a special committee which does so overlap or duplicate standing committee functions, the chair and one member of the other political party of the affected standing committee shall be appointed voting members of the special committee. The
Okay.
Rules and Procedures Committee shall determine when such duplication or overlap occurs and shall notify the moderator. So if you noticed, hey, I'm the chairman of the Public Safety Committee, isn't that my deal with the special committee? That chairman should have gone to the moderator, and the moderator would have made that chairman and another person from that committee of the opposite political party a member of that committee. That's what should have happened.
All right. And actually, I just noticed, yeah, so what I did here, actually, I broke up that rule into, and I added an A and a B. So actually, you know, to carry the spirit forward of the 6.3.1 in its totality with my additions and refinements, we'd have to look at 6.3.1 and my alteration to add a 6.3.1A and a 6.3.1B, where it addresses if it is necessary to constitute a special committee, which does so overlap. That's 6.3.A1 or 6.3.1A.
Yeah, so you're just saying the Rules Committee should be the one that makes the determination right off the get-go. Forget about the moderator?
Oh, no, I think I mean, the moderator would have a chance to make their case, obviously. Like, no, I think there should be a meeting between the rules.
Yeah,
the
I think,
committee, the
I see
moderator.
I see what you're doing, but I like your rule the way it is, and you gotta read that again.
Yeah, well, you know, this, and then with 6.3.1B, that was an addition where it says if no member of the affected standing committee from the other political party is willing or able to serve on the special committee, then any RTM member from the other political party who is willing and able to serve on the special committee shall be considered an appropriate substitute. Because that was the other thing that was a criticism of the court committee, was that we did not have a Republican from the Public Safety Committee on the court committee. Now, Moderator Eben made her best effort to reach out to the Republicans on the Public Safety Committee. None wanted to serve on the court. So we pulled in some other Republicans to serve in their stead. So, you know, again, this just kind of clarifies it and puts it in and codifies it so that, you know, it's a legitimate substitute. So if the special committee is deemed legitimate, we can carry on with our work and not be held back by people who maybe don't want to serve.
But it sounds like what you're saying is something that would happen under the existing rule anyhow.
Well, it did happen, but it was challenged, and still to this day, some people still challenge it, you know. So I just like this rule would clarify it, saying that it's a legitimate substitute to bring in any party member, any opposing party member that maybe is not on the affected committee.
Oh, I see. It would specify that can be done.
Yeah, that's all. It clarifies it.
Yeah, so you've got 3 parts to this motion, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I should have read all 3 in the from the jump. Should I read it again?
Because you really do have, you know, you added, you changed
Yep.
some of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I altered, added, and rearranged.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Mhm.
you had rule 6.3.1, which was duplication.
Yes.
Okay,
And then there's
so
6.3.1A and 6.3.1B.
okay, all right.
And all the original 6.3.1 is in there. I just kind of broke it out a little bit and added in some stuff in that helped clarify any confusion.
Well, you changed
Yeah.
the whole thing really by saying the Rules and Procedure Committee shall review each special committee upon its formation. So it's really taking the legs right out of the standing committee appointments. So,
Or we could change the
the
language.
A and B are no problem. I just have, I highly recommend you do not mess with that. The green should go. Green and red, go back to your original, really. The A and B are fine because it breaks it up, but
Okay, well, I mean, I'd be open
Okay.
to like dropping the green and red out of the 6.3.1, but I'd want to keep 6.3.1B.
And 6.3.1B is, I'm sorry.
If no member of the affected standing committee from
Okay.
the other political party is willing or able to serve on the special committee, then any RTM member from the other political party who is willing and able to serve on the special committee shall be considered an appropriate substitute.
Okay.
I think that's the real valuable change there.
That just allows for someone else to be approached.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can break this down into 6.3.1 and then, and do that. And then have 6.3.1. If we're gonna take out green and red, then it would be 6.3.A, which you have as 6.3.1B now, correct?
Yeah, if we take out the green and red from 6.3.1, then we could probably fold black ink of 6.3.1A into 6.3.1 again and just make the current B the A add-on.
Yeah, that's what I
Would
said.
it be easier to withdraw your original motion, remotion just the one change?
To yeah, it might be easier.
That
Yeah,
sounds
Um,
cleaner. That sounds cleaner to me, John. And
Yes.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right. How should that read?
If we could lean on the clerk for the original 6.3.1.
the way I see it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Representative Thomas, but this would just put the 6.3.1 as how it reads currently,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would had 6.3.1A is the new section.
Yes.
And that's all it would be. You want me
Yeah.
to read it out loud?
Add A as the new section or B as the new
Well,
section?
B on this
Oh,
piece
B
of
would be
paper,
A.
but B is going to become A, correct?
Okay, all right, okay,
So how it would look is
Okay, all right.
6.13, how it is right now. And then under that is a by, it would actually just be a 1. Okay,
6.3.1, it would be
A.
6.3.1A.
right.
Okay, all right. Which currently is B, and that would just be added on.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that does make it easier.
Yeah. I think we got a good place on that.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Or are we ready to vote?
Oh, wait a minute, though. I thought procedurally, I
no,
think we've got to withdraw a motion and then put a new
Yes.
motion.
Yes.
So I'll
okay.
withdraw my second. Ian, you withdraw your original motion.
I withdraw my original motion.
Now resubmit your motion.
All right. So I move that we add 6.3.1A. If
Yep.
no member of the affected standing committee from the other political party is willing or able to serve on the special committee, then any RTM member from the other political party who is willing and able to serve on the special committee shall be considered an appropriate substitute.
Second.
Okay, yeah, that does clean that up a little bit. Okay, all right. So, again, roll call, I guess, Watson, Obi, what's Thomas, Scott and Massett. Leanne,
I'm fine with that.
okay. Ian, yes,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Harry,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and Massett, yes, okay. So, that passes unanimously. Okay, now, and what is your next one?
All right, well, I just want to thank everybody for the work on that one. That felt like a good collaborative process.
Yeah, it did work.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
now,
okay, are we good?
go ahead.
So I move that we add 6.5.5. If the moderator or their designated substitute choose not to refer a proposed matter to committee, the RTM body can override this decision with a motion to suspend the rules and refer the matter to the appropriate committee. This override vote must pass by a 2/3 vote of those present and voting.
Second.
Okay.
Could you read that again, please?
If the moderator or their designated substitute choose not to refer a proposed matter to committee, the RTM body can override this decision with a motion to suspend the rules and refer the matter to the appropriate committee. This override vote must pass by a 2/3 vote of those present and voting.
Who would be the appropriate committee?
It would all depend,
Yeah,
Good.
on what the, I think.
So proceed, what is the procedure now for committee referrals? It's just, we have to do something in writing, so I make a proposal to make Minister Schnauzer as the town dog of Groton. I hand it in to the moderator and she appoints that, sends that to a committee,
Right,
or is there supposed to be some other process in place?
no,
wouldn't it be like with the council, you can put in a request like that, but then it has to be on the agenda for the next meeting.
Nope, doesn't work that way.
Okay, just
No.
asking the question.
No.
Makes
All
me-
matters that are referred to the RTM have to be put in front of a committee before the RTM body can vote on it. This has been stuck in my craw forever. because not everything should go to committee, because it's gonna go to the full body anyway. I don't
Right.
understand why the RTM's been doing this like this forever anyway. But nevertheless, right now, the way it works is if you from the floor have any matter that's proper interest, it can be returned. Well, it can be referred to the committee right from the floor. Just like you said, John, you should put it in writing so it can be understood. A written summary of the matter is supposed to be on the agenda, so for the committee to work with. So you can't just have some 3 words flying around. So there's a whole section and how it's referred and how they're acted upon in 6.5.3. Also, a majority of the people at the RTM members can put something back to committee, which you've seen that done before. You've seen items sent back to committee for more work. I think this body has seen that. Rules especially go back for more
yeah,
work.
they do, yeah.
but other items have been set back for more work. So.
But Betsy, I guess my question though is, again, using my example that we're going to make miniature schnauzers the town dog for Groton. Has there ever been a referral refused by the moderator? And if that's happened, what has been the protest?
I don't.
Yeah, there's certainly have been requests for referrals refused because it wasn't deemed proper for the RTM to work on, certain things, unless you were, well, this power of initiative has really gotten me sick to my stomach. But there was a time that you could use power of initiative to bring a referral to the council, but apparently we can't do that any longer in the RTM. So, but for the RTM, if you wanted Groton to breed miniature schnauzers, good idea, by the way, moneymaker. Yeah, I would imagine that the body could override. I think that's what we're trying to do here, right?
I think, yeah. That's what it sounds
It should
like.
be a mechanism. So, maybe the moderator thinks it's wrong. And maybe the town attorney advises that it's wrong, but if the body says we want to do it, what do you do? That's we could get ourselves in trouble, I suppose, right?
Well, I guess that begs the question of using the referral I created on the first day of the RTM with the point of power of initiative for the town attorney.
Yes.
Right.
The moderator could have just as easily told me to go pound it right then and there.
I think it's wise that they don't. I think it's wise that you do send it to committee and find out if you can do it.
Right.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
So yeah, just to like the thought process behind this one was you guys are kind of on it with that. It's just another check and balance, and to use Representative Scott's power of initiative proposal as an example. Yeah. So yes, we had a moderator that did the judicious thing and sent it to committee where it was discussed and deliberated on. However, say we had a moderator that did not, this would provide an opportunity for the RTM body to counterbalance that. That's again, checks and balances is where this came from.
Madam Moderator or Madam Chair, may I step in for just a quick question?
Yes, you may.
Under Robert's rules, I'm sorry, I don't have a book in front of me. I'm on vacation. There's a way to appeal the decision of the chair, and I think you need a 2/3 vote. Don't quote me on that because once again,
Okay,
don't
I'm looking.
but there is a way to appeal the ruling of the chair.
I'm looking.
And I think that covers
Oh, it's not. Appeals. Appeal, chair speaks in reference to.
If I could speak to that point, I agree that, yeah, that probably does exist in Robert's rules. I don't have that handout flipped through.
I'm trying to look now.
This would just kind of be a fast track to that outcome and just clarify it for any RTM members who maybe aren't so well versed in Robert's rules to be able to see, oh, okay, well, there's this option if my motion or for referral doesn't make it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, one more time. If you can vote or you say, I appeal the chair's decision, you can interrupt to do it. A second is needed. It is debatable, it is amendable, and a majority rule is needed.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
My apologies, I don't have the
Yeah.
located. I'm looking at a cheat sheet.
Yeah, I am too.
I would agree with you, Madam Moderator, that there is that process in place, and I think that might be a more effective tool in appealing a decision that we may not agree with than putting things more succinctly in our rules. I think we've discussed in other aspects of these rule changes that Robert's Rules is our primary governing document. And I think that in that case, the appealing the chair's or the moderator's decision or chairman's decision might be more effective than what you're trying to accomplish, Representative Thomas.
I would agree with that. Honestly, like listening to that rule now, it's actually a lower threshold.
Right.
So maybe we could reword this and just echo Robert's rules about appealing the chair.
Couldn't we just say as per Robert's rules?
Well, isn't that supposed to be part of the preamble? Is it, our body follows Robert's Rules of Order?
Yeah, to me, it's not necessary if we have that in the preamble.
Right.
I mean, it just complicates things.
Okay.
So, okay, so, all right, so I guess if you wanted to, you could withdraw your motion. John, you could withdraw
fine,
your
yeah, if that's what-
second.
If
Does that
that's,
work?
if Representative Thomas wants to withdraw it, I'm happy to withdraw my second.
Yeah, I'm good. with
Okay,
it.
all right,
So,
okay,
so withdrawn.
okay, all right, let me,
Yep.
okay. All righty, was that it for us for tonight, or Representative Thomas, did you have,
I got one more.
okay,
Last one, I swear. I move that we adjust Rule 9.6, citizens petitions. Excuse me. Any
Okay.
citizen who is not a voting member of the RTM wishing to speak may notify the RTM via town clerk of the RTM at any time prior to the hour the meeting is called, at which the petitioning citizen desires to speak. So the petitioning citizen's time allocation shall be determined by the moderator and shall be no less than 5 minutes and no more than 10 minutes. The petitioning citizen will be subject to the same restrictions as any RTM member. So this, I'm sorry, I'll wait for a second.
Second.
All right, so this one is just like, I added some language to the existing rule. And, I added the phrase petitioning citizen as opposed to he or she, to be current with the times in the sense that, we may have some non-binary members of the constituency that may wish to speak, and reading the rules, might be put off by the he, she binary thing. And then I added, and shall be no less than 5 minutes and no more than 10 minutes. I believe the existing rule, let me just pull it up here. Oh yeah, well, this may actually be a bit of overlap because, correct my memory, at this point in time, the rules we have for citizens petitions is a minimum of 4 minutes, or what is the current 30-second rule?
You muted.
Betsy, you're muted.
There's no minimum time, but the moderator must have the ability to change how much time someone has based on how many people sign up. And it really is important. I have seen over 100 people signed up for citizens
Yes.
petitions.
Mhm.
Not you weren't there. I
Yeah,
think
but-
Jackie was.
Yeah, those are the days.
And one person brought a fresh trout from the Eccleston Brook.
Oh,
So,
geez.
and we smelled that all night long. So the moderator has to be able to say no more than 3 minutes.
All right,
So
well,
it really has to be left to the moderator's discretion.
I mean, yeah, my intent was to kind of put a floor on that and make sure that it would be never less than 5.
Actually, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ian.
I mean, that was my feeling was, yeah, no, I wasn't there for the 100-person night. So I don't
Yeah.
have that trauma to lean on. But
Even
yeah,
30 minutes. I
I'm
mean,
all
even
for
35
citizen
people
participation.
times 5 minutes,
That's 50 minutes.
and if you have the same person saying the same thing over and over again, it
Yeah.
really, it loses its edge too. And people ought to realize that.
And I think it's most noticeable at that first budget meeting when the town manager presents his budget and the Board of Ed presents their budget. And you get a lot of people that are speaking, and frequently you may get 10 people, one right after the other, that agrees with the person who spoke a half an hour ago. And in that particular instance, when there are that many people, the moderator or the mayor, whomever, needs to be able to control the time, because the meeting would go on forever and ever. So there has to be,
Madam Chair, if I could chime in on this whole thing,
yes,
I'm opposed to time limits for public comment, either, public comment or the comment that
right,
commentary that we get to make as elected officials. I've said that all along. But I think we do need to allow the moderator some leniency in a situation where we're staring down 100 constituents and trying to keep our time under control. So I don't know what the rule says now, but I'm okay with giving the moderator the discretion to set a time limit if she needs to, for a meeting where we're facing down 100 people. But I just don't want to codify in the rules that, someone's cut off at 10 minutes. I think that has to come at the discretion of the moderator, because there could be somebody who's coming to speak to us on an off meeting that has nothing to do with the budget. That's maybe a pretty important proposal that they want to do something in town and might need a half an hour to present it correctly. And I think that discretion has to be at the moderator's level.
May I have a quick interjection here?
yes, you may.
Something that I noticed early on is that in what the moderator states before the public speaking, it says 4 minutes. I don't know where that came in. And my question is, can that 4 minutes be removed from the agenda? I don't think it is anything, and maybe that's just a sidebar conversation that I have with Betsy, but I just want to run it past this committee too.
If it's not reflected in the rules, it shouldn't be in your document.
Right.
That my concern.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree with that. However, that 4 minute thing, I think that's where I got it from, was in one of the agendas. I saw that, so I wanted to make sure that to lengthen the minimum time allowed. But I agree with Representative Scott that again, discretion of the moderator. Lengthening the time, it should always be an option too, if there's space for it. In defense of this rule change for the 5 minute as the short window, like sort of the busy interval allotment. If there is a special circumstance where there is that many people that want to speak, then the moderator could also make entertain a motion to suspend the rules and therefore shorten the 5 minute minimum. The small, like I don't know if 5 minute minimum is the right way to phrase that, but the 5 minute allotment as the standard allotment with the moderator's discretion of allowing up to 10. So that would just allow actually the body could back up the moderator. So it wouldn't be the moderator alone saying, no, you guys can only speak for 1 minute each or 2 minutes each. It would be the whole body of the RTM suspending the rules, saying, in light of the circumstance, we have to do this. Or if the body of the RTM has heard the will of the people and feel like the people have something that, warrants everyone getting their 5 minutes minimum, then, that's up to the RTM. I think that, the people's body, well, you know, the RTM is the body that's closest to the people. And, you know, I think it's vital that we remain connected to the people. We are representative government. So having the opportunity for people to speak, if it takes an hour, it takes an hour. I mean, we are moving the start time up 30 minutes already. So, I mean, we're making adjustments, and really like the circumstance for this, I mean, like everyone says, you know, it's a rare thing, but when it happens, it's probably happening for a reason. And if it's happening for a reason, then maybe we should listen.
Can I say something?
Yes, Harry.
I think that, I think moderator, mayor, whatever, whoever you are running a meeting, you need to have some flexibility. And you need to be able to read a crowd, know whether there's 30 people, 2 people, or 170 people in the room. But I also think, and be able to read that and come up with something reasonable. Now, you might want to say, you know what, we're going to give everybody 3 minutes, if it's okay with the RTM. And you know what, maybe after everybody's spoken, if you've spoken once for 3 minutes, you know, you can wait around to the end of the line and have another 3 minutes. I just think that we need to be reasonable. I don't think we're trying to pass rules because we think we're going to have an evil moderator running the meeting and cut off somebody they don't like or something that somebody might not say. I think we just need to be fair to the public and allow everybody an equal time to speak. And if somebody's going to speak for 25 minutes and somebody has a minute and a half to say something that might be just as important or just as important to them as the 25-minute person, I don't think that that's fair. So I just think that we need to be reasonable, and we need to be able to allow the moderator some flexibility to be able to set the tone of a meeting for speakers.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, you may.
And this is really for the town clerk. The paragraph that's in the agenda that the moderator reads when we're about to begin public comment, where does that come from and how is that decided upon to be in the document?
That's always been there as long as
No, it's always been there, but
yeah.
I can tell you that I don't ever pay attention to it. Isn't that awful? And now that moderator Rusk said it says 4 minutes, I'm scratching my head thinking, I always thought it said the moderator decides, but it should mirror whatever your rules say, you know?
Well, I guess my thought, the reason I'm asking the question is that do we identify somewhere in our rules what the agenda looks like, correct?
Right.
So should that paragraph also be part of the rules?
That's what I'm saying, is that whatever you decide, whatever the body decides, what this 9.6 says, that's what should be incorporated in the speech that the moderator gives. Right?
Right.
But
I guess that's where I'm
speech-
going, is that paragraph needs to be a part of our rules.
Yep. Well, I mean,
But
it could be put in a different term, but it has to mirror the rule. I mean, if you make a rule that says you have 3 minutes to speak, or it's the discretion of the moderator, no more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, it's got to mirror whatever you decide. So the answer is, I don't know where the 4 minute thing came from. I've
Neither
never
do
paid
I.
attention to it. I just make sure that there's something there, and I'm wondering, I don't have my RTM file with me, but because I have a speech, you know, but sometimes it gets left off the agenda. So I have to have a copy for the moderator. I'm gonna look at it tomorrow though. It's pretty funny.
I
Jackie?
guess
Not funny.
my thought process on that is that that paragraph ought to have some language in there, like our standard request is that your presentation not last longer than 4 minutes. I'm thinking out loud here, but you know, it ought to say something along the lines that if it is the consensus of those members present to go longer, we'll allow for that, or something along those lines.
Madam Chair, if I
Leanne, did you have something to say?
Yes, I just wanted to say, I think it's important when somebody comes to a meeting and they want to speak, that there certainly are some guidelines. But there has to be somebody that is in charge of the meeting. If you don't, you're not going to have order at all. And if we take away from the moderator the ability to decide what is best for the meeting time-wise for the people by the amount of people there, and sometimes it's just by the fact that you know this person that wants to speak and you know they speak for a long time about a lot of things that aren't pertinent, you might want to shorten it a little bit. But there has to be a leader at that point that these people that are coming in realize they speak under rules of order. And I think that as long as we have what we have in our that's read before a public speaking, that's important to have, and then just let the moderator run the meeting. We can have our comments afterwards, or we can take these things under advice in the future, but right then is not the time. You've got to have order in your meeting. So
Okay.
I think that even for the moderator to say, is the RTM acceptable of this time? God, we could have an hour debate on the time. So I think if we have something that's there, it's read, and we begin people speaking, it's going to flow a whole lot better. And that's part of the job of the moderator. Thank
Okay.
you.
Ian?
Thank you. So I in the discussion, I find myself aligning with Representative Scott in the sense that I think maybe in the rules may not be the place to address this, or we may have to address it in the way the agenda is structured. But I think creating a window, because the way it worked in the last term was moderator Edmund would read that opening and she'd say 4 minutes, but it could be extended up to 10 at her discretion. So, what I was trying to do with this alteration was to address my concern with the 4-minute limit and extend it to a 5-minute limit as this like standard, the rest of what we understand is the regular, but it could be extended up to 10 at the moderator's discretion. And I guess, we could always, 2/3 vote to suspend the rules. The moderator could initiate that if the moderator felt that the person who was speaking needed to go beyond 10 minutes, beyond the large window that the moderator would be allowed to flex within. So in some ways, wherever we put this language, I'm not sure where it might belong. There's a 9.6 or maybe back in the section where we talk about the agenda. But either way, I think, and I agree with Representative Aubry that, there do need to be some parameters and some order, but that order needs to be fair, firm, and consistent and clear. So, I don't think it's just to allow the moderator to adjust time based on who the speaker is, if they know them from the community. No, I don't think it's appropriate. I think it's appropriate for the moderator to adjust time based on the number of people speaking. Yes. If the person speaking has indicated that they want to do a longer presentation and they brought some things and, have a whole thing that they're going to do and they're asking for extra time, that's a motion to suspend the rules and the RTM can allow that. So I think we're pretty close on this thing. It's just a matter of figuring out the language, the length of the window, and what is within the moderator's discretion and what would trigger a motion to suspend the rules.
It just for Moderator Russ, seeing as this is something that kind of falls to you, would you like to sit with the town clerk and maybe go over the section about the agenda and the section that reads that is read when it's time for citizens petition, and change it I think, honestly, I think that should be within your purview. That's your bailiwick.
I have no objection to that. I would love to see where it originated from and make sure that it is consistent with what we have in our rules. And that's my
Okay.
big thing. If we have a rule, I don't want to be saying something every month that is inconsistent with our rule.
Right, right.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'm a little uncomfortable with giving the moderator and I carte blanche here, so I would prefer that this committee makes a recommendation as to what that rule 9.6 should read. And then the section of the agenda where the moderator introduces the opportunity for citizens should mirror whatever the rule is.
okay. So right now, it kind of says citizens petition requests to speak should be made beforehand with a time no less than 5 minutes and no more than 10.
I
And
think this
that's-
is,
Go ahead, John.
I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm sorry if I spoke before I should. I'm just wondering, I hate to have another meeting on something, but it sounds like there's some information that needs to be gathered.
Okay,
I agree with Representative Scott. I think maybe
All
a
right.
little research and a little more refinement. I'm definitely now, after the discussion, I am reconsidering my motion for this rule as far as how.
Okay.
it is.
all right.
I'm not
So
sure how to do that parliamentary wise, but
well, I think we can motion to set this aside for a period of time certain.
Yes,
And that period time certain, I'm not sure what would be yet, but
Everybody look at their calendars.
yeah. I
we
don't,
could have another discussion on this in a week or so, I suppose.
next week, I think is busy for everybody with party caucuses.
The Republican caucus is going to be January 11th. I'm sorry, the 10th. It's a Monday.
Okay.
So that, I think you guys, I
With
forgot
the
when I,
5th,
the 5th and the 6th are the
the 5th and the
Democratic city
6th.
in town.
right.
We could on the 7th, which is a Thursday.
That's a Friday.
The 7th is a Friday. Oh,
Yep.
okay.
What about
Look
the
at
5th?
22.
How does
When's
that-
the
So
next actual
Monday, I
RTM
think I could have stuff for you Monday if you want to do it Monday.
the 3rd?
No, we can't. Oh, yeah, this coming Monday.
I'll have my full
Um,
calendar with me, but let me just look.
I have a meeting on the 3rd, on the 4th at council.
Right, okay. Would you
And there's
like
nothing
to,
wrong with doing a Saturday morning meeting either.
I'm not available Saturday morning.
okay. Do you want to, how does everybody feel about Monday, the 3rd?
Works for me, I think.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Okay, all right. Representative Aubrey?
I'm just checking. I'm sorry, it's taking me just another moment to get to where I want to be. You're talking about the 3rd,
Yes.
Monday the 3rd. Yeah, that'll be okay.
7
Okay,
o'clock?
What time?
7.
7 o'clock?
I have a board meeting that night.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is probably a quick discussion once we have the information. Can we do it earlier in the evening, like 5:30 or something like that?
My
Harry,
board
what
meeting's
time?
at 5:30.
Oh, okay.
Um.
How late
could,
does your meeting go, Harry?
Well, it's Lighthouse. I'll probably be out at Horses Healing Humans that night.
Okay.
I don't know how long it's gonna be.
How about can we do it at like
But-
lunchtime or something like that? Why does it have to be at night? They could do it at noon or 1 o'clock on Monday?
It's difficult for me. I don't,
What time, You don't have like a regular lunch hour?
The
No.
earliest I could do is 11:45, but then I'd have to be done by like 12:15, 12:20.
You know what? We started this meeting a little after 7 tonight. I could zip out of my meeting and be home by 7 or a little after on Monday if I'm the only one holding things up.
How about, does 7:30 is late, but would
No,
7:30
7,
work?
start at 7. And if I'm a few minutes late, that's okay.
Okay, all right. So everybody agrees Monday the 3rd at 7 to, and Harry, you'll be late, but it's okay.
Not more than a few minutes.
Yeah, all right. But you know what? Don't kill yourself getting here.
There will not
Um,
be minutes, there will not be minutes for this meeting on that one. So don't think you're gonna have minutes to look at.
Right, okay,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, but let me
please.
just make sure procedurally, so I'm making a motion to set this aside for a period of time certain. So I'm gonna,
Yes,
do we have to vote on that? Or does it just happen? I forgot the
I
procedure.
think it can just happen. I'm not sure.
Procedurally, you can make a motion to set this aside, and the next meeting would have it on the agenda.
Okay, but do we have to vote on it? So like, I'll make a motion to put this
so
on the agenda for,
So if you haven't finished your business, if
It
you
would come
haven't
under
finished your business,
unfinished business.
so the entire rules will still be on your agenda, even
okay,
though you've already discussed all these other things. You see what I mean?
all right,
Until you're finished, it just continues on.
Right, this would come under unfinished business on the
Right.
3rd. So we
Okay.
don't have to adjourn to a time or bring it up at a time certain.
Right.
Okay, does that work for everyone?
that works. And I guess
But this
my
motion will
comment,
still be, on the floor.
Yes,
that's where we'll just pick
Okay.
up with that
Well,
motion.
no, well, yeah, well,
yeah, it will.
Yeah.
We haven't done anything with it.
Right.
Okay,
So
John.
What I'd like to see is that paragraph addressed, whether we need to codify it somewhere else in the agenda, or not the agenda, but the rules, or address it in the section that Representative Thomas is talking about. I'd just like to see it have the moderator have discretion over it instead of have a time limit on it, that the moderator has the discretion. That's the
Okay,
angle that I'd be
yeah, let me
most
see
happy.
if I can,
yes,
what I'll do is dig up all the old rules from the RTM and see if there's any differences
okay,
that we might
all
be able
right.
to find.
Joe, I didn't ask if Monday at 7 o'clock was good for you.
I will make that work. Thank you.
Okay, so I take it then that we have finished our business, well, not, but we're through for tonight.
I believe so.
Okay,
Yeah, just one little quick point.
sure,
The other two rules that I had listed had no alterations or no additions. It was just like I wanted to make sure that they did not get changed from the 32nd. There are ones that were added in about moving the question, Rule 7.3 and Rule 9.2.1.
You can bring those up at the next meeting.
yeah, at the next
Okay.
meeting. And
All right,
if you don't want them changed,
Mm-hmm.
then they're,
They're not gonna be changed if you're not.
yeah, they
bringing it up.
won't be changed.
Fair enough. I just wanted to kind of
Okay.
earmark them to make sure that they're like, no one has any thoughts about trying to change
Yeah,
them.
no,
And if they
no.
did, now would be a good time to discuss it.
yes.
Yeah, I think that's the nuclear option. I hate when people do that.
What?
Move the question. Yeah,
Oh,
I think that's a
yeah.
terrible thing. Should never be
Okay.
used.
I do too,
Jackie,
John.
Jackie,
I really
Yes,
agree with you.
yes,
Jackie,
Harry. Yes, Harry.
I move we adjourn for the evening.
That second, anyone?
I
Second.
agree.
Okay. Okay, meeting adjourned at 9:10.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.